Welcome to Stop Wasting Your Wine, a wine review podcast dedicated to helping you discover great wines with great value for every occasion. On this episode, we review
the 2021 Batù Barbaresco from Cantine Povero.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Aaron here, joined by two of the best ones out there, Colin and Joel. Gentlemen, I am excited because we are entering week 2 of our Nebbiolo mini-series. How are you feeling about building out your Nebbiolo knowledge?
I feel good about my knowledge. I'll tell you, it's the most confident I've ever felt going into a show about whether or not I'm going to enjoy the wine. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm really good about that.
Hell yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and I'm excited to compare this one to the Langhe, really. I'm expecting a little bit more flavor concentration. We talked a lot about the flavors last week. Maybe a little oak on this one. I didn't get too much oak on the last one. So, Barbaresco has some aging requirements that we'll get into. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out in the wine.
Yeah, and for the listener at home, I want to warn you, if you are joining us for this episode, but you did not listen to last week's episode, I would challenge you to pause and go back and listen to last week's, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to really build out kind of a full understanding of Nebbiolo and how Nebbiolo from Langhe versus Barolo versus Barbaresco are different from each other, and also similar, being sharing the same grape. But we really want over these 3 weeks for everyone to leave feeling like they just have a solid understanding of what they are buying when they walk into a wine shop and are looking at those styles of wine. So if you didn't listen last week, I would recommend that you go back and do that now.
But also, if you're just the kind of person who goes out there to find podcasts about Barbaresco and that's all you want,
that's all you do,
you're in the right place. You don't have to go
this
back.
This is it, baby.
Yeah. We will talk extensively about Barbaresco today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're one of those anti-Barolo people. You're like, oh, don't you?
Nope. Just want to do Barbaresco. Only here for the Barbaresco. Thank you.
Don't even.
Guy has listened to 4 podcast episodes, and that's it. He just listens to them on loop because there's not that many episodes.
Finally, one more. Increased my entire podcast review by 25%. All right, so I'm stoked, and we have a lot to talk about today, and we have a lot to build on. And like you said, we are, once again, very lucky. Shout out to Cantine Povero for providing the wine, and not only providing the wine for this week, but for last week and for next week, so that not only are we talking about Nebbiolo, but we have a really, what I think is a very clean comparison on the difference between those, because we're getting them from the same producer, and we know we're not, crossing styles or trends or anything like that. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I think it's cool. I think, we've done comparisons before and we've referenced, varietals and stuff like that. I don't think we've ever really done a true, from one producer kind of building up in their catalog sort of an approach. So I think that's really fun.
Yeah, it's cool too because the wine comes from the same family. So they have the same thought about how they make the wine and stuff like that. But from the different regions, whether it be just the Langhe or Barbaresco or Barolo, the rules are a little bit different. So you're going to have a different wine just based on the styles that the different regions require you to make the wine in. So I think it's really cool to see kind of the regional differences as opposed to maybe a stylistic difference between one producer and another. So I think that's a really neat aspect of what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's 100% my hope. My hope is the differences we feel are almost entirely dictated by the expectations of the regions rather than, like you said, stylistic changes. So I think that's really cool. That being said, let's get into it. Yeah. Joel, can you let the listener know the details of the wine we are drinking this evening?
I was about to just start drinking it. I forgot that we need to talk about it first.
I know. I'm excited too. What?
Nebbiolo guy over there just ready to drink.
Totally. Let me go ahead and put this glass down. Yes, today we are drinking the Cantine Povero Batù Barbaresco. It's 100% Nebbiolo. This is from 2021. You can find this for somewhere between $25 and $35, and kicking it up a little bit with the ABV this week. We're at 14.5%.
Thanks. And I want to linger a little bit on that price range because I think this is something we're probably seeing because, this is a smaller producer. They're going to be imported to specific shops, specific places. It should be widely available. When we talk to Lucrezia, so, it is widely available, but not necessarily at your Total Wine, Bottle King, places like that. And so therefore the price is going to fluctuate a little bit depending, I think, on where you find it. So, we would kind of spot it online anywhere from $25 to $35. So still very much in the range that we like to operate, but it varies a little bit more than some of the other bottles that we've reviewed in the show.
And that's a great price too. I mean, Barbaresco, can get into the $45, $55 range. So
Sure.
to see it from 25 to 35 is really a great price point to at least try a bottle at, just see what it's all about.
Yeah, and honestly, I did a little digging into the winemakers themselves. And if you are listening to us from Italy and you are down the street from Cantine Povero, the price range between, I think, the Nebbiolo Langhe and this bottle and the Barolo is literally between 17 euros to 25 euros. So that, though you can't beat those local prices, especially with Italian wine. But we're across the pond, we have to pay the tax. So it's up a little bit. That being said, let's not linger there. Let's try this wine.
Let's do it.
Tastes like wine.
All right, Colin, why don't you start us off? What are you getting on the nose?
Yeah, so the one thing that I've noticed, just especially when comparing it to just the Langhe, is the intensity of the aromas coming out of the glass. There was a lot of nice stuff in the Langhe,
Sure.
but this just pops out. It's really intense. We get some of those red fruits. I think the floral note really comes through on this one. It's super fresh roses, a really nice floral note. But I think the thing that surprised me is just the jump in intensity from the wine we tried last week to this one.
Totally. What about you, Joe?
That's such a good way to put it. You got to really stick your nose in there and leave it in there for a little bit, I think, to dissect everything that's going on, because it's so expressive and so nice. And if I focus on the fruit, that's what I'm getting. If I focus on the florality, that's what I'm getting. If I focus on a little bit of earthiness too in there, a little dirt aspect, I'm getting that too. But it's extremely expressive, and you're right. A lot of the similar maybe notes from last week, but just wow,
Sure.
elevated.
I mean, I have to say right off the bat, this is such an important example of the impact of climate, of terroir, of anything else that you want to look at. Because last week we had 100% Nebbiolo, and this week we have 100% Nebbiolo. This is the same grape. So, takeaway number one, folks, is this right off the bat, smell-wise, can smell like an entirely different glass of wine, being 100% the same grape, specifically because of the expectations of the area.
Isn't that cool?
So cool.
That's awesome.
That's the cool thing.
They're not produced that far away from each other. I mean, the Langhe is a relatively good-sized region. They're all within the same area there. So to see the difference from the Langhe region as a whole to the more specific, more well-known Barbaresco is a really cool experiment we're working on here.
Right, and let's pause there again, right? Because for visualizing, and maybe we can superimpose the map. I'll put some space over my shoulder. But you have Piedmont, and then you have Langhe within that, and so all the Nebbiolo Langhe can be anywhere within that region. But then within that, you have Barbaresco, and you have different sections of Barolo. We'll talk more about that next week. But that's still within Langhe. So all of this is within the same region. Very similar when we talked about, Tuscany and Chianti and Chianti Classico. But again, wild. It's wild. We were in the same region, and it tastes or smells like a completely different glass of wine.
Yeah. And I just want to get back to the wine real quick, because the one thing, last week's smelled really good. It was really nice smelling glass of Nebbiolo. This wine smells beautiful. The aromas coming out of it sort of brings me back to the word bouquet, which you can sometimes use for the aromas of a wine. This, I feel like calling it aromas for some reason does it disservice, because it's just such a wonderful and beautiful group of aromas coming out of the glass.
Yeah, I think I could riff on that, but let's sip it, because I think we're heading in the same direction. Let's get some on the palate. And Joel, why don't you start us off with what you're getting?
Okay. I'm going to say, kind of a lot of similarities to what we were drinking last week. I think the first things that jump out are, some of those red fruits. Still very, we were kind of talking last week about how it's not, it's not tart and it's not jammy. It's just like kind of like that perfect fruit, like right when it's ideal. And I think that carries over to this week as well. Maybe a little bit more depth, I guess, would be the only thing. Like it's a little bit more complex, but also, I mean, it's tough to even say because last week was pretty complex as well. But there's just like an extra level here that you're kind of picking up through the sip. It's tough to put a finger on.
Well, do you know what I think it is? I think last week's one was very fruit driven. Like even the floral note, I didn't really notice it until Aaron said it during the learning segment. So this has so much other stuff going on. You still get all of that really nice, like you said, ripe red fruit, but then you have that really expressive floral note. I'm picking up on a little bit of vanilla also, which I think comes from the barrel aging requirements. So there's some extra layers of flavor. So I think depth is actually a really good word because while last week's was a nice, really fruit forward wine, this has those extra layers of flavor that I think kind of elevate the entire experience. But I think as far as like fruit callouts, it's Nebbiolo. It's going to be those red fruits, that floral note, roses for me on this one, and a little bit of that oak as I mentioned. But I think that's I don't think the flavor profile as far as what you can expect is too much different from last week, but I think the intensity and the oak adds a little something that really makes this wine different.
There's one thing that I noticed too, but I don't want to say it because I think it's one of Aaron's favorite things to ponder. So I want Aaron to go.
Are we talking about structure? No.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, I was gonna say I felt like with the increased intensity, maybe it's part of the oak, the aging expectations and whatnot. I do feel like the tannins and that balance is a little bit more intense. Like that's the experience. Yeah, yes. Great minds think alike. I think like that's when I was thinking about this. The funny thing is like that's what I was gonna say next is a lot of the flavor is gonna be the same, right? A lot of the smells are gonna be the same. It's the same grape, but the way in which it has been expressed, aged, whatever, I think has just added a level of complexity, like a level of elegance to it, where the mouthfeel, the structure is a little bit more, the intensity of the smells are a little bit more, the intensity of the flavors are a little bit more. Just everything's just kind of drawn out bigger than the Nebbiolo Langhe that we had. And I think, especially when you start thinking about like price point and things like that, like we talked about last week, like that was a really stellar $20-ish bottle of wine. That's like a great intro to Nebbiolo. And then this is getting more into like that complex kind of earning that higher price point vibe to it. Just you're getting more out of the sip.
I don't know how they've so effectively just amped up. I think you're right. The tannins and the acidity. The acidity is just still so like prevalent, but so nicely balanced there. It's like
the tannins went up and the acidity went up, so the balance remained.
Right.
It's just all heavier.
Yeah, but I will say the tannin is really nice. It's very intense. I would agree with you on that, but it's super smooth. It's like a really nice, grippy experience. It's like smooth is really the one word that keeps popping into my mind when trying to describe the tannins.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm super curious to next week, right, when we step up into the Barolo, knowing that Barolo has more of the tannin kind of just reputation, because this to me is starting to fall into like that sweet spot that I love, where the tannin is a center stage part of the drinking experience without getting sweater teeth, which is one of Joel's favorite phrases that I love so much. Like we're in the comfortable sweater, not the itchy one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll take it.
Perfect. It's the perfect sweater. All right. Anything else before we take a step back. I think this is actually a glass of wine that is really going to benefit from us stepping away for a minute and talking about something else, and then coming back and taking a second shot at it.
That's a really good point. I opened this up probably an hour, maybe in an hour and a half before we started this evening, and it has really settled down. You know, I always take a sip right when I pull the cork, and you could tell it just needs a little bit of time, which is, you know, that's totally fine, especially with a wine of this structure and with this much structure. It's totally normal for it to need a little bit of air to settle down, and this is absolutely, you know, done that with a little bit of time under air.
I mean, and I waited too long to open mine. I stuck my aerator on it just to kind of make up for it a little bit, but I kind of wish, you know, I'd opened it up a little bit earlier. I always think back to our conversation with Daly talking about, you know, Vic, and he's like, this is a wine that you really want to open 6 hours before you drink it. It's like, what? Like, I am not prepared that way for anything.
Yeah, Nebbiolo is one of those grapes that air is not going to hurt it. You know, you can feel comfortable decanting this for some time.
I think this is a wine that we can definitely continue to talk about after we take a little break and learn a little more about why the heck this 100% Nebbiolo wine tastes different than last week's 100% Nebbiolo wine.
Time to drop some knowledge. Wine drops.
All right, so let's get into it, because once again, this is the coolest concept that we are just really rocking. The same grape, but a totally different experience. And the starting point there is that geographically, things are a little bit different. So, Joel, can you kick us off? Where does Barbaresco come from?
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this. And you already did a great job of sort of explaining, you know, how all of the things kind of come together here. But you nailed it. It's part of Piedmont, or Piemonte, you may hear as well. But Barbaresco specifically comes from the villages of Neva, Treso, and hey, you guessed it, Barbaresco. And all of these villages are by the Tanaro River. And that's probably the big differentiator here. They're by the river. This is moderating the climate and really having an impact on how those grapes are developing. We end up with, you know, a sugar content and a ripeness that maintains that acidity that we've been talking about, and keeps the tannins just at a really kind of nice level. I think when we compare it, I want to kind of come back to tannins too next week when we drink some Barolo, because probably won't be quite as bold as the Barolo tannins we experience, but also we kind of called out that it's already, you know, a little bit more prevalent than the Langhe Nebbiolo that we had last week. So really interesting thing there. What this all means at the end of the day is Barbarescos really show that elegance and that complexity that we've been talking about, and a really lovely bouquet. I'm going to say that word, Colin. I think it's a perfect word here. But that really expressive nice bouquet that we've all kind of mentioned as well. So, you know, it's funny, not too far away, but all these little things come into play to have a really big impact on the wine that we drink at the end of the day. And talking about that too, I mean, we've kind of in our conversations so far, we've been talking about, hey, what is the difference between this Barbaresco and the Barolo and the Langhe? But, you know, last week we focused on the Langhe. Let's focus a little bit more on the Barbaresco this week. And Colin, really, you know, let's talk about those differences a little bit and kind of call out specifically what we're looking at when we talk about the Barbaresco.
Sure. So, you know, we've mentioned this a couple of times now, but Barbaresco, Barolo, the Langhe, all using Nebbiolo. Barbaresco and Barolo have to be 100% Nebbiolo. But beyond the difference in climate, the major difference is going to be aging requirements. So Barbaresco, it has to be aged for a minimum of 2 years before it's released, with at least 9 months on oak. So I think that's one of the major differences between Barbaresco and the Langhe that we saw last week. I wasn't picking up too much oak on that one at all. There's definitely some oak influence on this wine as well.
We had said that the Langhe didn't have a minimum requirement, right? It was very open to, it kind of allows for experimentation and expressiveness of the winemaker.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure if you read my notes or just remembered our conversation previously.
I remember things.
Very impressive. But yes, I was going to bring that up, that the Langhe...
my bad, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I love that you were able to recall that.
I'm impressed.
Last week. That means you're learning, and I absolutely love that. So I appreciate you stepping on my toes. But like Aaron mentioned, there's no minimum aging requirement in the Langhe. So, we talked a little bit about last week. The producers really have a little bit more freedom to do what they want in the Langhe. And then, Barolo has some longer aging requirements. You need 3 years minimum for Barolo. So beyond, as I mentioned, climate, these aging requirements are really what sets the regions apart. Oh, and I did forget to mention there are both Reserva levels for Barbaresco and Barolo, and those are going to require a little bit more aging, 4 years total aging for the Barbaresco Reserva and 5 years total aging for the Barolo Reserva. So
Nice.
That's what we're looking at. And Aaron, I feel like you're going to love this question because you love a little bit of wine history. And Barbaresco has a pretty fascinating history. It hasn't always been the super popular region that it is today. And there's a gentleman by the name of Domizio Cavazza that had a huge role in its transformation. So, Aaron, can you tell us a little bit about who Domizio Cavazza was?
Yeah, I'm going to help you out with that name, Callball. His name would be Domizio Cavazza.
That's exactly what I said.
Better.
You get that; those Z's get those TZ sounds. So you got Domizio Cavazza. And so
Cavazza.
yeah, and so he was a winemaker and a teacher who helped give Barbaresco its own identity. So in 1894, he founded the first cooperative winery in the area, uniting local growers to bottle their Nebbiolo as Barbaresco instead of selling it anonymously. And I love that fact because I feel like we've seen parallel versions of that in other countries as we've learned about wine in Spain and we've learned about wine in Germany, where like someone has said like, we need to put a name on this, like stop just selling it as Nebbiolo, like we gotta up the value of the area itself. He applied scientific methods and encouraged quality-focused farming, and was one of the folks setting the standards for the region. So once again, kind of getting away from like the cheap local wine that is so very common in a lot of Italian communities, and saying like, nope, it's going to be this region, we're going to call it this, and this is the level that you have to achieve to stamp that name on it. And so this early vision is what inspired the Produttori del Barbaresco, which still carries the legacy today.
Before we go on, I'd just like to apologize to Domizio. I know he's been dead for a couple hundred years, but I mispronounced his name at the beginning, so I'd like to just set the record straight.
Yeah, you gave him a real Little Caesars pronunciation. we gotta upgrade that to Olive Garden at least.
Sorry.
You're awesome. Okay, so super cool. Man, I love that we're going to walk through these 3 weeks and just have like a real crash course, stronger understanding of what we're getting. But regardless of who you are getting your Barbaresco from, Colin, what are some of the tastings that should be consistent, the tasting notes, the aromas, regardless of where you're getting it from?
Yeah, like you said, we came across a lot of these with the Langhe Nebbiolo because, I mean, at the end of the day, Nebbiolo is Nebbiolo, right? So there's going to be a core group of flavors you're going to see across, a wide range of Nebbiolo wines, regardless of where they're coming from. So, I mean, we talked about it last week, but you can expect some red cherry, which I think we're getting a ton of in here, some strawberry, rose petals. Licorice is one that they've added on for Barbaresco wines, which I haven't necessarily experienced in this wine. And then the structure of this wine, as I think we've seen and felt here, is going to be a little bit more intense, but still not too in your face. It's not punching you in the face, right? You're going to notice it a little bit more. No, not a face puncher. You're going to notice it a little bit more, but it's still really enjoyable. It has those firm tannins, the nice acidity. Again, not a huge difference, but maybe an evolution in flavors from the Langhe just based on how it's produced and the aging influence and, of course, the climate and where it's grown.
Excellent. All right. Fantastic. So much there to walk away with. And Joel, I hope you were listening closely. I was listening closely. I think Colin is going to be
Always.
quizzing us on a little bit of this later. So I'm looking at all
I'm good,
these places and numbers, and I'm trying to keep it up in my head. Before we get into our final review of this wine, let's take a step back. We've let it sit for a few more minutes. It's opened up a little more. Anything else popping up?
No, I don't think there's too much more. I think once this wine has really settled down, it's kind of hit its stride. My wine's been open for almost 2 hours now, and it really, I think, is where it wants to be. I think all the fruit is coming out delightfully. All the flavors are super harmonious, really well balanced as far as structure is concerned. And I think once this wine gets to where it wants to be, it doesn't change too much.
Joel, anything new for you?
I went back because I wanted to really think about licorice and try to have that headspace going back in there. I don't think so, but no, I don't think so. I think that's a good call that you said, Colin. Like it's there. Like it doesn't need to open up anymore. Mm-hmm. It's doing what it's built to do. So no, I think we called it all out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you guys. I think if anything, just again, the structure of the wine is kind of finding this really balanced place where the tannins and the acidity and the body of the wine is really just working together. But I think as far as a aroma and tasting notes, like nothing is surprising us later. Like nothing's popping out. Like, oh, look, the boot leather. I didn't know that was there earlier. Like it's just most of the stuff was well formed and it's continued to be so.
For sure.
All right. So that being said, I think that one podcast first. This is the first time we're going to review the same winemaker over 2 weeks, over multiple weeks. We have reviewed multiple wines from a winemaker in one sitting. When folks have been kind of to share.
I like it.
But this is the first time that we have one done in multiple bottles over multiple weeks, and two really, as Joel mentioned earlier, kind of started to look at the same varietal on a higher level from the same winemaker and kind of seeing that spectrum of wine quality. So I am excited about getting into that. So since I'm the host, I'm going to pretend that this was my wine and I'm going to go last. Joel, how are you feeling about this wine?
Yeah, but did they like it? It's time for the review.
I like that we've established that rule now too.
All right. Yeah, you started
Yeah.
it.
Doesn't matter.
You pulled that one last week, I'm pretty sure.
I will never go last.
That's right. Man, I'm not gonna lie. I came into this one with high expectations, thinking I was gonna really enjoy this, and happy to say I was spot on. Complete must share. I don't want to talk about. I want to be in the moment. I don't want to talk about last week or next week very much, but I'll tell you, I'm super excited for the Barolo after all of this because, my gosh, just continuing to build and continuing to see that elegance, just so much more to kind of take apart and think about, but all the while a common thread of just high quality, really enjoyable Nebbiolo. And I think that's so cool. It's so cool to see just the slight differences in style and all of that. So all that to say, absolute must share, and super excited to keep going.
Mm-hmm. Calm.
Yeah, I think for the $25 to $35 range, this wine is an incredible value. Again, I mentioned before, but Barbaresco and Barolo can get up in the $45, $55 range. So to see this sub 40 is pretty incredible. It's a really good wine. It's super well balanced. The flavors are incredible. Joel, you mentioned depth before. There's a really great depth to this wine. There's just layers. The really nice thing about this wine is just layers of really enjoyable flavors. And the one thing I didn't mention before is the finish. The finish on this wine is delightful. And it's really where I think you get some of that vanilla and the oak influence, but it kind of mixes with the fruit and it sticks around for a really long time. So really, really nice wine, really nice finish. I think it's a must share, honestly. For me, it's sitting on top of the wine fridge. It joins that collection. It's an incredible wine at an incredible value. And, if you want to try Barbaresco at an affordable price, absolutely check this one out. Absolute must share. No doubt about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. This is delicious. It's just so tasty. I feel like so often we go down this rabbit hole of analysis where we're like, the tannins are good and the aromas. It's a delicious glass of wine. It is a good beverage. I handed it up the stair. My wife snuck by in the middle of the podcast, and I handed her because I always want to know when there's like a good red that has really elegant tannins, because she's not a huge fan of heavy tannins, and I thought this would hit the sweet spot, and she kind of gave me like a double thumbs up and like ran away. and so I just think this is such a good, elegant, thoughtful glass of wine at that price point. This is going to be a bottle that it's going to be kind of exciting, because I know this isn't as available as widely as some others that we've reviewed. But if I am in a wine shop and I see this bottle, there's going to be no hesitation. Like, I'm going to grab this absolute must share.
For sure.
Wonderful. So, I mean, hey, it doesn't get much better than where we're sitting right now, gentlemen. We have now talked about Nebbiolo for 2 weeks straight. We had a wonderful bottle last week. We have an amazing bottle this week. Both very affordable. You do not have to spend $1 million on a bottle of wine to drink good wine. And we got another week ahead of us. We get to learn even more about Nebbiolo, and we get to drink a Barolo.
It's fantastic.
Can't wait. That's a good spot. Good for us.
What a tough,
Look at us.
What a tough life we lead. Hey, before we send the listener along and get them excited about our Cantine Povero Barolo next week, let's play a game. And we're going to play a, I don't know, newish game. So we've been doing a couple quiz, intelligence, IQ, guessing, whatever games. We're going to stamp it. We're calling this game Great Minds Drink Alike.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
That's really good. Did you come up
Colin,
with
take
that?
us away. I came up with that all by myself.
I love that.
All right. Well, I'm excited about this one because I don't have to participate. So
It's a huge win for Colin to start.
I can't lose, which I usually do. So I have 5 questions here about Nebbiolo, Barbaresco, or the Langhe, and we are going to go through them.
Close your notes, Joel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, get them notes.
Close your damn notes, Joel.
I'm not a
Close
cheater.
the notes.
Not a cheater, Aaron.
So I will ask a question to the first person. If they get it wrong, the other person has a chance to steal, and we will go from there. So I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 5. Aaron, you are the host, so I will let you go first.
4.
Yes. Wow. It was exactly 4.
Damn right.
What are the odds?
And this-
20%.
It's 1 in 5.
Yeah. Good. We can do math on this show.
And this might actually be the hardest question of all 5 of them because we didn't cover this, I don't think. So, Aaron, what does the name Nebbiolo likely come from? Is it A, the Italian word for fog? Is it B, the Italian word for night? Or is it C, the Latin word for noble?
C, the Latin word for noble.
Incorrect, Joel.
B, the Italian word for night.
Also incorrect. The correct answer is A,
Damn it.
the Italian word for fog. Nebbia means fog, which references the fog that covers the Langhe region,
Which we
helps
did,
moderate
which
the
that.
climate.
Lucrezia told us
talk
about.
about
That was
Yeah.
in there. She
Yeah.
talked about the fog.
100% she did. Yeah. I actually, it even
There we
pinged
go.
on my radar, and I was like, no, it's got to be night. Wow. Okay,
My brain was
let's
just
go.
like,
I'm mad at
everything's
myself
Latin.
already. Let's go.
Thank you, Magister Kupak. Darn it.
All right, Joel, we did learn about this one this evening.
Ah,
I shouldn't
shoot.
say
Very
that,
good.
but
Yeah, come on. Boy.
my bad. Joel, which 2 towns anchor the heart of Barbaresco production beyond Barbaresco?
Andy
Is
had
it-
that question.
Asti, is it A, Asti and Alba? Is it B, Nive and Treviso? Or is it C, La Mora and Monforte?
It's B, baby.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Nive and Treviso, along with the village of Barbaresco, anchor the DOCG. Right. Aaron, this one might be a little bit more difficult too. Listen, you guessed 4 correctly. Not my fault.
Hey, that was the easiest question of the night.
Okay, so question number 3, Aaron. Name the other Piedmont grape that starts with B. So, A, Barbera, B, Brachetto, or C, both A and B.
That's a jerk question. A.
No.
Oh, damn it.
Joel.
Can you say them again? What was A, B, and C?
Sure. A, Barbera, B, Brachetto, or C, both A and B.
B.
No, it's actually both of them. They're both.
I thought that Barbera.
Barbera is from the Piedmont, and so is Brachetto. All right. So right now, Joel is winning 1-0. This is Joel's question.
Yeah.
So if I get
God,
this
Aaron,
right, I win.
Yes, if you get this right,
If Aaron steals
win,
it correctly, we go to a tiebreaker.
that's right.
Okay.
So, Joel, what does Langhe and Nebbiolo allow winemakers to do that Barolo and Barbaresco doesn't? Is it A, use other grape varieties?
Look
Is
at
it B,
face.
release wines early and experiment? Or is it C, age wines longer in oak?
Actually, say them again because I thought C might be both, to be honest with you. Say it again.
Is it A, use other grape varieties? Is it B, release wines earlier and experiment? Or is it C, age wines longer in oak?
It's B.
It is
Experiment
B.
a little bit. Yeah.
It's
yeah,
B. Yeah, it's B. I'm glad you came around because that would have been a shocking miss. All right, so there it is. Joel's won it. A little unfair as far as ease of questions are concerned, but that's,
My
that's
two
how it
questions had
baby.
nothing to do with what we learned today, and both Joel's questions were in today's learning.
Listen,
Who designed this thing?
I often have the same problem with Spellmalier, so
No, Spellmalier is just always
the
bad
game.
words.
that's the game.
All right,
Anyway,
fine.
congratulations,
We have question
Joel.
4, just so
Thank
we
you.
can, just so I
Sure.
can know what question 4 is.
Yeah, and I made the tiebreaker easier. If you smell tar and roses in your glass, what Piedmont grape are you probably drinking? A, Nebbiolo, B, Dolcetto, or C, Barbera?
I know this one.
Yeah,
B.
Go.
Oh.
Oh my
See,
God,
I'm
it's
glad
A.
we weren't playing.
It's the one we were talking about.
It's Nebbiolo, the one. Yeah, we mentioned tar and roses a couple times. So
Terrible. Should have won that. All right. Good game, Joel. Well-deserved victory.
I don't know if that's true, but I'll take it.
well, everything looked great until the end. But yeah, that was grape wines drink alike.
Great minds drink alike.
Grape.
How many
wines.
names are we going to come up with for straight
There's
up
a lot
trivia?
more. There's a lot more rhyming puns in this one than there should be.
Just call it wine trivia.
Grape
No, I like our
wines drink
names.
alike is hilarious.
Grape
yeah,
wines,
no, I
I
agree.
like that. Too.
And weirdly accurate specifically for this segment.
Yes, sure.
All right. Fantastic. I mean, I hate that. I pride myself at trivia and history, and that felt terrible. But congratulations to Joel. And congratulations to you, listener, for learning a bunch today. I'm excited. How are you guys feeling? I feel great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Awesome
so
wine.
good.
Fun episode.
Yeah.
Look forward to finishing up our Nebbiolo series next week with the king of Nebbiolo.
Yeah,
I mean, I look forward
Barolo.
to it, but I don't want it to end.
I know. But that's the great thing. There's more. There's more. We get
It's
to
not
continue.
goodbye. It's
All
see
good
you
things
later.
come to an
Yeah.
end.
That's true.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. All right. So, man, all right. Once again, if you didn't listen last week, please do. It's a great starter on getting into Nebbiolo. Today we got Barbaresco. Join us again next week, and we'll talk about Barolo. Super excited. Again, a huge thank you to Lucrezia and all the folks at Cantine Povero for supplying us this wine. It's such a great example of just Nebbiolo and the wine coming out of that region. Before we let you go,
Povero, man, I'm going. I'm sold.
I mean, can't keep me away. Next time I'm in Europe, I'll be knocking on their door for sure. But until then, Joel, can you let the listener know where they can get in touch with us here in the States?
Yeah. Stop Wasting Your Wine on Instagram, on YouTube. Go to stopwastingyourwine.com to check out what's new on our website. Those are the places. Come hang out.
Yeah. And do us a favor,
Nicely done.
if you're enjoying the show, share it with a friend. You know, we're building our listenership. We've had a huge bump in listeners over the past few weeks. We're super grateful to everyone who listens. Thank you for coming back, and let's keep it going. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
And remember, stop wasting your wine.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.